Joining me now, Congressman Doug Collins of the great state of Georgia and also House Judiciary Committee. Great to see you today. Congressman, why should or should not William Barr release that report right before an election? What's at stake?
Well, first off, I wasn't sure if Speaker Pelosi was talking about her henchman, Jerry Nadler, and how bad he did yesterday in this hearing, because it was a total disaster, and Bill Barr owned the entire hearing. He should, look, crime is crime, and what we're seeing from Durham is he is investigating criminal activity, and if he comes up with the evidence and he's ready to bring an indictment, it needs to be brought now, because remember, Harris, what he's investigating was the interference by the Department of Justice under President Obama going into the 2016 election. Is there not a better time to actually expose this and expose the corruption that was going on in the previous election before we actually have another election? He has every right to get that out, because a crime is a crime, and that's what he needs to look at.
You know, I hear about the proverbial October surprise in elections. Always, right, with presidential elections, what's it going to be? And people may be asking, is this going to be it?
It may be it, I think, but everybody knows. I mean, from what we've been doing over the time I've spoken with you before, the stuff that we've released, everybody is getting the picture here that Jim Comey and Andrew McCabe and Peter Strzok and Lisa Page and Brennan and Clapper and even President Obama and Vice President Biden, we're all a part of this. They know it. Now it's just a matter of holding them accountable for it and seeing where we can go from there. I think the biggest October surprise in this one will be if Joe Biden can actually run a campaign other than his basement. And the president is going to be out there telling people the truth. They know who he is. They know what he can do. But this stuff like this is an anathema to all of American politics. You do not need a Department of Justice and an FBI that were actually spying on U.S. citizens who were trying to influence an election of a candidate and then a president after he got elected to disrupt his administration. Everybody ought to be concerned about that.
All right, before we move on, this question for you. AG Barr has talked about the fact that he wouldn't anticipate any charges against, anybody as high up as the president. But what are you looking at in terms of how high this could go and the importance it would be to the American people right before an election?
Well, look, we've already seen Jim Comey has lied. We've already seen that Jim Comey actually signed documents in which he attested to the veracity of them, although he knew that the veracity was not there and they hadn't verified all the information. We've seen this with McCabe. We've seen it with Strzok. We've seen it with others. I think you need to hold others accountable. If they simply let someone on a lower level get thrown under the bus for their sins, then I think that's a problem. And it is important because there's two sets of justice here. There's many people in this country who believe that there's a set for the rich and there's a set for everybody else. There's a set for politically well-connected and a set for everybody else. Everybody needs to understand that justice is blind to race and socioeconomic background, and people need to be held accountable for what they've done.
All right, let's move to big tech, because that's a hearing that's going on right now. They ran a little bit late, and now they're going to run hot with it. We understand it could be an interesting ball game in there. Big tech CEOs appearing virtually on Capitol Hill today for an antitrust hearing where Republicans are expected to press them over claims of censorship against conservative voices. And again, Congressman Collins, this could get a little chippy inside there, because you hear that tech companies, they'll have to defend themselves. What points do you expect Republicans to make here?
The same Republicans, when we actually started this investigation over a year and a half ago, I was part of, with the Democrats actually starting this investigation because we saw the antitrust issues that can be viable here. It is antitrust problems when you control so much of the marketplace that you're actually buying up competitors and putting them inside your own sphere. But what we need to get at is use the antitrust hearing to make sure that we control them, but also to get at Section 230. Section 230 is the safe harbor provision that allows them to censor conservatives. It allows them to put up only what they want to put up or take down what they want to put up by their own whim, and they just hide behind this quote safe harbor. So I'm in favor of saying your antitrust and the way your dominance in the marketplace is a competitive disadvantage, and because of that we're going to have to look at this Section 230 that was put in at the nascent beginnings of the internet to make sure that the internet could survive free thought and free expression. They've taken it to an extreme. They're the ones that are censoring the president. They're censoring others. I was taken down for 36 hours by Twitter just the other week. These are the kind of things that have to be addressed, but you have to address it from their size perspective, the antitrust, the actual law, and how their competitive advantage allows them to use Section 230 and others to hide behind the basic acts of censorship in an election year and any other time.
Yeah, and we'll learn more about that. I know my colleague Dagan McDowell from Fox Business last hour on Outnumbered said that 2/3 of all of the online advertising are controlled by Google and Facebook together. It will be interesting. So glad you're on the program. Congressman
Harris.
Collins, good to see you today. Thank you.
Good to be with you. Take care, Harris.